Chapter 9 of The Diamond Master by Jacques Futrelle. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 9. And More Diamonds. There was a rap on the door, and a clerk thrust his head in. "Mr. Burns to see you, sir," he announced. "Show him in," directed Mr. Latham. "Sit down, both of you, and let's see what he has to say." There was an odd expression of hope deferred on the detective's face when he entered. He glanced inquiringly at Mr. Schultz and Mr. Czenki, whereupon Mr. Latham introduced them. "You may talk freely," he added. "We are all interested alike." The detective crossed his legs and balanced his hat carefully on a knee, and the while he favored Mr. Czenki with a sharp scrutiny. There was that in the thin, scarred face and the beady black eyes which inevitably drew the attention of a stranger, and half a dozen times as he talked Mr. Burns glanced at the expert. He retold the story of the cab ride up Fifth Avenue and the car trip back downtown, omitting embarrassing details such as the finding of 2 notes addressed to himself, dwelt a moment upon the empty gripsack which Mr. Wynne carried on the car, and then: "When you told me, Mr. Latham, that the gripsack had contained diamonds when Mr. Wynne left here, I knew instantly how he got rid of them. He transferred them to some person in the cab, in accordance with a carefully prearranged plan. That person was a woman." "A woman?" Mr. Latham repeated, as if startled. "There is always women in it," remarked Mr. Schultz philosophically. "Go on." Mr. Burns was not at all backward about detailing the persistence and skill it had required on his part to establish this fact, and he went on at length to acquaint them with the search that had been made by a dozen of his men to find a trace of the woman from the time she climbed the elevated stairs at 58th Street. He admitted that the quest for her had thus been fruitless, assuring them at the same time that it would go steadily on, for the present at least. "And now, Mr. Latham," he went on, and inadvertently he glanced at Mr. Czenki, "I have been hampered, of course, by the fact that you have not taken me completely into your confidence in this matter. I mean," he added hastily, "that beyond a mere hint of their value, I know nothing whatever about the diamonds which Mr. Wynne had in the gripsack. I gathered, however, that they were worth a large sum of money, perhaps even $1 million." "Ja, $1 million at least," remarked Mr. Schultz grimly. "Thank you," and the detective smiled shrewdly. "Your instructions were to find where he got them? If there had been a theft of $1 million worth of diamonds anywhere in the world, I would have known it. So I took steps to examine the custom house records of this and other cities to see if there had been any unusual shipment to Mr. Wynne, or to anyone else outside of the diamond dealers, thinking this might give me a clue." "And what was the result?" demanded Mr. Latham quickly. "My agents have covered all the Atlantic ports, and they did not come in through the customs house," replied Mr. Burns. "I have not heard from the Western agents as yet, but my opinion is that they were perhaps smuggled in. Smuggling, after all, is simple, with the thousands of miles of unguarded coasts of this country. I don't know this, of course. I advance it merely as a possibility." Mr. Latham turned to Mr. Schultz and Mr. Czenki with a triumphant smile. "Diamonds in meteors? Tommyrot!" "Of course," the detective resumed, "the whole investigation centers about this man Wynne. He has been under the eyes of my agent, as no other man ever was, and in spite of this, has been able to keep in correspondence with his accomplices. And, gentlemen, he has done it not through the mails, not over the telephone, not by telegraph, and yet he has done it." "By wireless, perhaps," suggested Mr. Czenki. It was the first time he had spoken, and the detective took occasion then and there to stare at him frankly. "And not by wireless," he said at last. "He sends and receives messages from the roof of his house at 37th Street by homing pigeons." "Some more fantastics, eh, Mr. Latham?" Mr. Schultz taunted. "Some more chimericals?" "I demonstrate this much by the close watch I have kept of Mr. Wynne," the detective went on, there being no response to his questioning look at Mr. Schultz. "One of my agents, stationed on the roof of the house adjoining Mr. Wynne's," it was the maid servant next door, "has, on at least one occasion, seen him remove a tissue paper strip from a carrier pigeon's leg, and read what was written on it, after which he kissed it, gentlemen, kissed it. Then he destroyed it. What did it mean? It means that that particular message was from the girl to whom he transferred the diamonds in the cab, and that he is madly in love with her." "Oh, these women, I tell you," commented Mr. Schultz. There was a little pause, then Mr. Birnes continued impressively: "This correspondence is of no consequence in itself, of course. But it gives us this: carrier pigeons will only fly home, so if Mr. Wynne received a message by pigeon, it means that at some time within a week, say, he has shipped that pigeon, and perhaps others, from the house in 37th Street to that person who sent him the message. If he sends messages to that person, it means that he has received a pigeon, or pigeons, from that person within a week. And how were these pigeons shipped? In all probability by express. So, gentlemen, you see there ought to be a record in the express offices which would give us the home town, even the name and address of the person who now has the diamonds in his or her keeping. Is that clear to all of you?" "It's perfectly clear," commented Mr. Latham admiringly, while the German nodded his head in approval. "And that is the clue we are working on at the moment," the detective added. "3 of my men are now searching the records of all the express companies in the city, and there are a great many for the pigeon shipments. If, as seems probable, this clue develops, it may be that we can place our hands on the diamonds within a few days." "I don't think I would just place my hands on them," Mr. Schultz advised. "They are his diamonds, you know, and your hands might get in trouble." "I mean figuratively, of course," the detective amended. He stopped and drummed on his stiff hat with his fingers. Again he glanced at the impassive face of Mr. Czenki with a keen, questioning eye, and for one bare instant it seemed as if he were trying to bring his memory to his aid. "I've found out all about this man Wynne," he supplemented after a moment, "but nothing in his record seems to have any bearing on this case. He is an orphan. His mother was a Van Cortlandt of old Dutch stock, and his father was a merchant downtown. He left a few thousand to his son, and the son is now in business for himself, with an office in Lower Broad Street. He is an importer of brown sugar." "Brown sugar?" queried Mr. Czenki quickly, and the thin, scarred face reflected for a second some subtle emotion within him. "Brown sugar?" he repeated. "Yes," drawled the detective, with an unpleasant stare, "brown sugar. He imports it from Cuba and Porto Rico and Brazil, by the shipload, I understand, and makes a good thing of it." A quick pallor overspread Mr. Czenki's countenance, and he arose with his fingers working nervously. His beady eyes were glittering, his lips were pressed together until they were bloodless. "What's this?" demanded Mr. Schultz curiously. "My God, gentlemen, don't you see?" the expert burst out violently. "Don't you see what this man has done? He has Suddenly, by a supreme effort, he regained control of himself and resumed his seat. "He has what?" asked Mr. Latham. For half a minute Czenki stared at his employer, then his face grew impassive again. "I beg your pardon," he said quietly. "Mr. Wynne is a heavy importer of sugar from Brazil. Isn't it possible that those are Brazilian diamonds? That new workings have been discovered somewhere in the interior?" That he has smuggled them in concealed in sugar bags right into New York, under the noses of the custom officials? I beg your pardon," he concluded. Late in the afternoon of the following day, a drunken man, unshaven, unkempt, unclean, and clothed in rags, lurched into a small pawnshop in the Lower Bowery, and planked down on the dirty counter a handful of inert, colorless pebbles ranging in size from a pea to a peanut. "Say, Jew, is dem real diamonds?" he demanded thickly. The man in charge glanced at them and nearly fainted. 10 minutes later Red Haney, Knight of the Road, was placed under arrest as a suspicious character. Uncut diamonds, valued roughly at $50,000, were found in his possession. "Where did you get them?" demanded the amazed police. "Found 'em." "Where did you find them?" "None of your business." And that was all they were able to get out of him at the moment. Chapter 10